In the wee hours of the night, as nature dozed, she would feel them, the weight of unseen eyes pressing gently against her skin, a presence that was neither threatening nor unkind. The air would shift, cool and heavy, as if the walls of her small cottage were filled with a distant, muffled murmur. These were the moments when the apparitions came to her, drawn by the light of her gift, the ancient energy that had passed through her bloodline for generations. She had long been acquainted with the otherworldly. Since childhood, she had seen the restless shades that wandered between worlds, lost in their unresolved sorrows, their hopes unfinished. What set her apart was not the seeing, but her gift of communion. Spirits knew her as one who could hear them, understand them, and help them find the release they sought. They never approached her with malice, there was no need. She was their harbor, a healer of fragmented souls. The apparitions came to her with respect, like a procession of weary travelers seeking refuge at the end of a long, dark road. Some appeared as little more than shadows, faint and flickering, the remnants of long-forgotten lives. Others were clearer, their faces etched with emotion, grief, anger, confusion. They never spoke aloud, their thoughts passed to her as whispers in the air, subtle impressions carried on the wind, mingling with the crackle of the hearth fire. One night, a woman appeared, her form translucent, shimmering in the dim glow of the fire. Her face was streaked with silent tears, her hands clasped in a plea for help. She rose from her seat by the fire, feeling the sadness that enveloped the spirit. She extended her hand, though she knew it would pass through the woman's form. "How can I help you?" she asked, her voice soft, filled with understanding. The woman's story unfolded in her mind as images, emotions, the mangled memories of a life abruptly ended. She had lost her child, and her grief had bound her to the earth, unable to move on. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to be pulled into the spirit's pain, to feel the depths of her sorrow. It was overwhelming, but she did not resist. To heal the lost, she had to bear their burdens with them. With a grounding breath, she began her work, summoning the energies that surged within her. Her hands moved through the air, tracing the paths of forgotten prayers as ancient words spilled from her lips. The room thickened with the scent of herb, sage, lavender, and rosemary carried on a breeze that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. The spirit wept silently, her form flickering like a candle in the wind, until she felt the lightness that came when the soul found its way. She and the apparition shared a smile, a fleeting, wistful thing, and faded slowly, like mist dissolving at dawn. She watched until the space where the spirit had stood was empty, the room returning to its quiet stillness. She sat down heavily. Her body tired but her heart full. Each soul she helped took something from her, but they also left her with a sense of peace, knowing they were no longer lost. This was her life, part her calling. She never questioned why the spirits sought her out, only that they needed her. They always came with reverence, drawn to her healing energy, and she always gave them what they sought: rest, release, and a final whisper of comfort before they disappeared into the great beyond. It was not a burden but an honor, and as long as they called upon her, she would show them the compassion they so desperately sought. The enigma of a mystic. In a sanal, demi et room pertumbed tuned with fresh jasmine, she resides, a woman both captivating, sad, elusive. The flickering candelabra dances across her features, caning shadows that only hint at her measure. She moves with a grace like Dracula, each step deliberate, as if she is navigating a world not bound by the ordinary. Her eyes are deep and shimmering, holding secrets of Pan lives woven into their depths. They reflect a Wyadorn that transcends her years, as if she has lived many lives in diverse realms. Her twinkling gait is unnerving, leaving you breathless and introspective, yearning to understand the reflections of your own heart. Her hair cascades like a waterfall of shadows, dark and lustrous, framing her face with wild elegance. Ion tendrils escape her braid, brush rushing against her skin, suggesting a life lived freely, unconfined by the norms that bind most, adorned in flowing garments of Devu Indine Anul rich emerald. She illustrates the earth and sky, the duality of water and the steadfastness of stone. Each piece of fabric whispers tules of distant lands and forgotten tunes, woven from the threads of cultures she has encountered in her travels. She is an artisan of enchantment, creating potions and elixirs from herbs gathered under the silvery light of the moon. With delicate fingers, she crushes petals and roots, her movements reminiscent of an ancient ritual. The room is filled with a kaleidoscope of colors, vibrant hues of lavender, rose, and sage spilling from glass vials. Each concoction holds a promise: healing for the weary, clarity for the confused, love for the forlorn. She understands the language of nature, the symbiotic relationship between the earth and its inhabitants, harnessing its skills create a magic that outshines the mundane. Though she engages in the world around her, there is a palpable distance, as if she is an observer in a realm of her own design. Friends and acquaintances come and go, drawn to her like moth to a flame, captivated by her aura. They seek her counsel, sharing their fears and desires, and she listens with an open heart, offering wisdom wrapped in metaphor and poetry. Each conversation is a dance, a delicate balance between vulnerability and strength, leaving those who encounter her feeling both certain and doctored in cascades like a waterfall of shadows, dark and lustrous. Her omnipresence, time he comes flust. Hours slip away unnoticed as she shares tales of her journeys through an ancient forest where the trees whispered their secrets, a visit to a bunting market in a distant land where exotic spices danced in the air, a night spent under a canopy of stars, where the universe revealed in mysteries. She speaks not just of places, but of emotions, of connections, of the sacred threads that hired humanity together in the areas of existence. In the stillness of the sight, she sometimes gazes up at her stan, feeling both connected and apart from the universe. Each twinkle seems to ache as her own desires, a reminder that she is part of something vast and infinite. The cosmos beckons her, whispering affirmations of adventures to discern. She knows that her journey is far from, that there are still paths to explore and mysteries to uncover. And so, in her quiet, mystic way, she continues to weave her Moria garment of enchantment and intrigue, a life lived in shades of twilight. Unnamed, yet unforgettable, she exists as a reminder of the beauty found in the enigmatic, the magic in the unseen, and the philosophical connections that bind us all, even when we feel most the present soul. She moves through the world with quiet grace, a woman who has learned the art of being present. The wind whispers through the trees as she walks, her feet pressing gently into the earth, each step a reminder that she is connected to something larger. Nature cradles her, the rhythm of the natural world syncing with her breath, reminding her to slow down, to feel each moment as it unfolds. Her heart is anchored in the now. She doesn't chase after time or worry about what tomorrow holds. Instead, she listens, truly listens, to the stillness around her. The rustle of leaves, the soft murmur of a stream, the distant call of a bird. These are her guides. In the quiet spaces where the world pauses, she finds her answers. There is no rush, no anxiety. She trusts in the wisdom of the present, understanding that clarity comes when she surrenders to it, rather than when she searches for it. Mindfulness is her practice, not as a chore or discipline, but as a way of being. Each sunrise, each drop of rain, each breath of air is a gift, and she embraces them fully. Her senses are alive, attuned to the beauty and simplicity, the softness of moss beneath her fingertips, the warmth of sunlight on her skin. She is not distracted by the noise of the world, instead, she is grounded in the essence of what it means to truly live. In her stillness, she has found her strength. The answers she seeks are not external but within. It is in the pause between thoughts, in the space between breaths, that she discovers her truth. There is no fear, only trust. She is a woman of the present, of nature, and in this quiet existence, she finds a freedom that few can understand but all can feel when they're in her presence. She radiates peace. And in her peace, others find solace. The otherworldly woman. She moved through the world with a quiet grace, as if her feet barely touched the ground, a presence so light it seemed like a breath between seconds. Her energy was soft, but not fragile, a quiet strength, like the stillness of the ocean at dawn, when the sky first bleeds its colors of brilliance. There was something otherworldly about her, as though she carried with her the weight of stars and dreams yet to be born. Her eyes, deep with mysteries unsaid, held the kind of knowing that made you feel both seen and unseen. Concurrently. When she looked at you, it was into you past your skin and bones, into the spaces where you hid your soul, into the stories you hadn't yet spoken. It wasn't invasive, it was healing. Her gaze was a balm, gently nudging you to be more than what you ever allowed. She didn't need to shout to fill a room. Her presence was enough. The air shifted subtly around her, as though the elements themselves recognized her essence. Her unguarded laughter sounded like the wind playing in the trees, a fleeting, delicate thing, that left you aching to hear it again. When she touched you, even if by accident, it felt like a reminder of something eternal, something that didn't belong to this world but had somehow found its way here. It wasn't about the warmth of her skin or the softness of her hands, it was the energy that radiated from her, the way she connected with life, with the unseen threads that bound everything together. In her silence, you felt peace. In her presence, you felt possibility. She didn't demand attention or admiration, but simply by being, she inspired a quiet reverence. There was a lightness to her, a floating sense that she could drift away at any moment, back to wherever it was she came from. But until then, she remained, a reminder that some people carry magic not in the harmony of their words or actions, but in the gentle, ethereal glow of their being. How to quantum jump. 1. Collapse the past, stop recycling the version of you built for survival. That identity served a purpose, but it doesn't match. Entering. What does that version of you feel like in the body? Connect with the vibrational frequency of your desired self. 3. Rewire the loop, every thought is a vote for the old or the new. Speak in present tense codes. I am aligned with my higher path, is a bridge. I hope I get there someday, is a delay. 4. Evict the residue, identity leaves a trail. Clear the habits, apps, clothes, activities, language, and people that echo the frequency of your higher self. Honor it and release it. 2. Name the frequency, feel the state of the reality, your previous version. Make space for what's already aligned. 5. Embody the evidence, what does this version of you tolerate? What do they create? Collapse the gap between concept and conduct through real embodiment. 6. Tune the temple, your body is the bridge. Quantum shifts require somatic safety. Refine your inputs, like food, breath, sound, light, movement, until your system trusts the timeline. 7. Seal the timeline with action, the universe responds to consciousness. 2. Consignment is of the past when it comes to word I you can't ouv experienced it. Direct X experience in purely visual, I am a camera. I think that time is a berder between the future, unkewa, yumd, the potdawan, sensland the present only exists as a chip between these. It's like lure and excitement are a comp deciding the light AR flight direction ward is the unknown or retreating hack into the known, the ertane. The future is moderned potential and the guasternality or formed reality, think of a volcano and lava se the cane, layers of differentiated matter supposed and amused, nergy. Duality estis but only in the following way, which is the attempt to understand world through taking it apart, which as a car mechanic has to take an engine to show he understands it eagle to put it back together, in medics and anatomy ton to encapsulate this take things apart ta understand them and put them back together again to make them work. Like the layers of an onion, if you keep peeling back the layers deconstructing thesa, you end up with asthing. The external world is the opposite building reality by putting things together. Whether it's physics or the cell, the same truth applies yin-yang the Taoan inner journey in search of the self or the outer to connect with the phenomenal world. Also say this and Zen is just orientatino, through disarming the mind via krantz ansk jo9, being ourselves aiming by. Argoyle, means that once ning and getting canged up in propaganda, you see the truth, as opposed to here the look consciousness is purely visual and deprods upon concentrating upon a particular point in t-space. Mary is a recording of this experience. Speeds blinds meditation perceptional and clarifies reality bends. Concentrated and dispersed attention, to the first you attention and not in the second relaxed, awake and a deep, and generalization takes to blur into everything the as detail that clarifies different and stooped. This inclo time wed state are hence stupor a concentrated state of attention we are clear about time as well as space because of the decal differences we pick up from reality and our own intorial clock mechanian. Life, don't talk to me about life. When it comes to the question of euthanasia, do we want to put someone out of their misery or out of ours, out of sight, out of mind? Is it like any prejudice as with earlier centuries, wealthier classes, avoiding the poor because of their filth and squalor? Whose life is it anyway, to make that choice? Children need adults to make choices for them, to keep them alive and well, but are we saying that we have the same right to choose for the elderly and the sick? How can conditions that lead to death be investigated and learned about, in order to overcome these difficulties? If society overrides parental consent as in the court cases of babies Charlie Gard and Alfie Evans amongst others, we simply don't know until we explore possibilities, what we are capable of. Think of the people who would be dead today, if not for medical research being given full rein. Do soldiers have the right to kill others? No, but they have the ability to. You can only learn about living processes from living beings. Kill or let such people die and that stops advancement of knowledge likewise, so the condition remains an eternal problem, an eternal unknown. Science is about finding out the mechanics of reality and that includes human life. It is about observing reality, even our own death and decay, our own mortality. Negative emotion wallows in self-pity over loss of possessions, relationships, physical abilities, mental faculties etc. as positive emotion relishes the exploration of any event in its life, be it comedy or drama. Bullying is imposing your will, your belief system on others. Free will on the other hand is about allowing individuals to make up their own minds on any subject. Cassius argued in Julius Caesar that it is better to kill somebody because it relieves them of the suffering of being alive. If we follow that line, then every sick child or troublesome older person should be put to death, to stop them being a burden on the rest of society. All hospital patients should be put to death along with the disabled, then let's get rid of the gays, colored people, ethnic minorities etc. because nobody is perfect. Yes, this is the slippery slope that leads to fascism or diminishing returns, where the world shrinks in persecution of the different. Nobody has to help anybody else or even themselves, but that is the lazy and cowardly way out. Give up, kill hope, stop all effort to survive, learn and grow as individuals or a society. Science and civilization is driven by effort and the desire to know the truth about anything and everything. We stagnate when we hide. Pride is saying this is who I am, take it or leave it. Shame and guilt are options where you allow yourself to be maneuvered by others and regret it afterwards, also known as conscience. Better to be long-suffering than short-tempered and live to regret it. Life is persistence, death of mind, body and spirit is giving up all effort. However, reality is acceptance of your current state and abilities, as delusion is the refusal to see what you're presently capable of. Death is dissolution of our civilization and our individual rights. It is why Brexit is leading to the resurgence of racism, through separatism. Tolerance and patience builds physically and mentally as impatience and intolerance destroys. All negativity is avoidance of responsibility, whether by word, excuse, or action, backing away. Optimism keeps us going forward as pessimism stops us in our tracks without trying anything new. Is our current world state telling us that this is the end for the world and its by going one more step into the future, one more not reached yet because we cannot see it yet? Consciousness. The unconscious is a blank canvas, an empty screen upon which we project our future hopes and past memories. Consciousness is a distraction-filled environment, of constant motion/constant calls for our attention, which turns us out into the world, rather than down and into the subjective world of creativity, insight and memory. Consciousness is being aware of where you are and when you are, not mistaking what you're sensing for somewhere else, some other time, i.e. superimposing a memory over what you think you are perceiving as being present, here and now. I've noticed in me and other people that when in an unconscious state, i.e. being asleep, we tend to blame the wrong cause, after an incident that wakes us. By this I mean we think that is there now created the situation which woke us, when in fact it can be long gone or distant. If you're not aware, you're not present, and if you're not present in mind and body, you cannot control your own life or the world around you. Perception is about stopping and being in one place, that is concentrating upon something specific in the present as movement blurs perception of the present and the world around you. Consciousness is turning your attention back and down into the self, learning/humility, as unconsciousness is turning your attention up and out into the world or towards the other, pride, confidence, action. When we know something precisely, it seems to be a purely visual skill of seeing it in detail, no inner voice telling you what is or isn't true, just an outer eye seeing. If you concentrate on what you're doing, you can see where to stop. If you don't concentrate upon what you're doing, you keep going. This displays the fact that consciousness is actually control of your life, and unconsciousness, continuity of movement through space and across time. Consciousness is actually a defense against unconsciousness, the unknown, the uncontrolled, pure energy as opposed to form, future as opposed to past. When we concentrate upon the world, time slows down because we take in more detail than normal. When our attention is dispersed, time passes quickly because we only pick up general awareness of something, skip over it, not wade through it laboriously. Consciousness is what drives society forward. It is the new discovery as opposed to the old problem. Without it, societal evolution, change, could not occur. Conscience is a survival mechanism. Why have it if it is self-defeating? To be conscious is to be aware, and conscience is telling you what you're aware of, plus how to deal with it. The less conscience you have, the less conscious you are, and the more, unknowingly, self-destructive your acts are within the bigger picture of existence. If you cannot understand the world, you cannot control it, and if you cannot control it, you become a victim of your own